It's Monday once again, which means it's time. I didn't mean to click that. For another watch and learn. And I'm really hoping I got the audio right this time, because I later learned from the last Yu-Gi-Oh video I streamed that I did not have any of my mic audio coming through. So I'm really hoping I'll be able to check playback on this one and see that I was smart enough to get that set up right. I'm betting we're going to see a good amount of Fusion Fest games today. Just because Fusion Fest is ongoing. Hey, Jackaloop. And we can already tell from players' opening hand running Fusion Destiny and having a Dramaturge that they're running a Despia deck. They're going to immediately go into Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Reasonable move. They could do Monster Reborn, Polymerization, and Dramaturge to get out into a Masquerade potentially, but that is also pushing their advantage super hard. His opponent is going to be playing Dragon Maid, summons Parlor, sends Changeover, use Changeover's effect to bounce Parlor back to hand. Duelist B will counter by activating Phoenix Enforcer's effect to destroy Parlor so it can't be bounced. So Changeover, however, only requires you to target a monster to activate its effect, so Changeover does go back to hand. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer will activate its effect to preemptively start its own resurrection. They use Changeover to fuse Red Dark Dispel and Kitchen Dragon Maid into Sheo, then go into the battle phase. He will swing directly with Sheo, 3,500 attack points. And the turn will pass back to Duelist B. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer will bring itself back from the grave. He will attempt to use Destroy Phoenix Enforcer's effect. He will counter using Sheo's effect to negate that and swap itself out for House Dragon Maid. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer goes to the graveyard, does trigger its own resurrection effect, so it will be back next turn. Activates Monster Reborn, bringing back Phoenix Enforcer once again. Its effect is not a hard once per turn, so he's probably going to use its effect to target itself again. Or he's going to use Polymerization to fuse Phoenix Enforcer with Dramaturge of Despia into Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. Dramaturge will bring itself back from the grave. He'll go into the battle phase. He'll swing Crash Dramaturge into House Dragon Maid, swing directly with Masquerade, and pass turn, setting his Allure of Darkness face down. Duelist A draws for turn. Phoenix Enforcer does bring itself back from the grave, so he has his one pop return back. Summons Nurse Dragon Maid, tries to activate its effect. Masquerade makes him pay for it. Nurse brings back Parlor. Parlor's effect activates. Masquerade makes him pay life points again. Uses Changeover's effect, bouncing Nurse. Masquerade, once again, going to make him pay life points. Activates Changeover. That's 4 times already he's had to pay, so that's 2,400 life points gone. Fusing Nurse and Lorpar into a second copy of Sheo. Or at least a second summon. Uses Phoenix Enforcer's effect to pop Sheo. Uses Sheo's effect in response. Has to pay for that for Masquerade. Turns that into House Dragon Maid. Phoenix Enforcer's effect will activate in the grave. Parlor's effect to tag out for a bigger dragon will activate, so we have to pay for that again. House Dragon Maid's effect to destroy something goes off. He has to pay life points for that as well, but oh no, he is not able to go for the full direct finish off using Masquerade's effect to bring itself back from the grave if your opponent controls a monster summon from the extra deck. And he has to swap Lorpar back for Parlor. Duel Speed draws a second Allure of Darkness for turn. Gets Phoenix Enforcer on the field. Attempts to use House Dragon Maid's effect to summon another Dragon Maid. Uses Destroy Phoenix Enforcer to destroy itself and House. House Dragon Maid's effect will still go off to get a Nurse. Phoenix Enforcer's effect will go off for the Resurrection. So that will come out next turn. Nurse Dragon Maid brings out Kitchen Dragon Maid. Kitchen Dragon Maid will add Tin Kek to hand. And he will discard Lorpar. Main phase 1, he sets Allure of Darkness, uses Celestial's effect to banish itself in Dasher to draw 2. Activates Allure of Darkness to draw 2 more. Banishes his Fallen of Albaz. Activates Branded and High Spirits to get a... Hang on, let's just wind that back because I'm not super familiar with Branded and High Spirits. Reveal 1 monster in your hand and send 1 level 8 fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard with the same type that has 2,500 attack or defense. And he sent Despian Quertus. He revealed Edge Imp Chain. Then discard the revealed card, and if you do, add one Fallen of Albaz. So he discarded Edge Imp Chain to get Fallen of Albaz back to his turn. Back to his hand. And because Edge Imp Chain was sent to the graveyard, he gets a Fright for Patchwork. Now we're back up to date. He activates Fright for Patchwork to get himself a Polymerization and a second Edge Imp Chain. Activates a second Allure of Darkness. Gets another Aluber, which he's going to banish. Summons his Aluber. Gets himself a Branded in Red. Activates Branded in Red, targeting Dramaturge. Adds Dramaturge back to hand. Activates a Branded Opening to special summon another Dramaturge in defense mode. Places Polymerization to fuse Dramaturge with Aluber for a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Dramaturge's effect will summon itself. And he chains that with Starving Venom Dragon's effect, giving it 500 attack points from Parlor. Parlor's effect activates, bounces itself for Lorpar. And he activates Tinkek to give it a 2,000 point boost. Dramaturge will swing over the Tinkek that was swapped out for Kitchen. Venom will slam into Nurse. End of the battle phase, Lorpar swaps back out for Parlor. Parlor sends off Chamber. There's a fresh turn, which means Phoenix Enforcer comes back to the field. Summons Kitchen Dragon Maid, adds Tinkek to hand, discards a second Parlor, activates the effect of Lorpar. In an attempt to negate the effect of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, Phoenix Enforcer will counter by activating its effect, targeting Kitchen. Lorpar's effect will resolve, but there's no longer a target. He will banish the Tidying in his grave to special summon Chamber from the graveyard. Chamber's effect will go off, adding Dragon Maid Welcome to hand. He will activate Dragon Maid Welcome, which gives all his Dragon Maids a boost. Use Dragon Maid Welcome's effect to add Changeover back to hand for controlling 2 Dragon Maids. Activate Changeover, sending off Parlor and Tinkek in hand. For Sheo, Dramaturge of Despy's effect will try to activate to negate the effect of a special summon from the extra deck monster. He counters by activating Sheo's effect to destroy Dramaturge and summon out House Dragon Maid. Goes into the battle phase. Chamber swaps itself out for Tinkek from the graveyard. Because the monster was bounced, House Dragon Maid's effect goes off to pop Venom Dragon. Aluber's effect will activate because it controls no monsters to summon itself back from the graveyard in defense mode. Venom Dragon, because it was destroyed, will destroy another monster. Tinkek will slam into Aluber. He'll activate the effect of Changeover in main phase 2 to turn it back to the hand and entering Tinkek back in hand. Activate that same Changeover, fusing off Chamber and Tinkek into Sheo once again. This is much more of a back and forth than I thought it would be. Branded High Spirits will return itself from the graveyard to his hand, to Duelist B's hand. Phoenix Enforcer will return itself to the field. Sheo will attempt to use its effect to stop that. Phoenix Enforcer will use its effect to pop Sheo. And he will protect Phoenix Enforcer from being destroyed by its own effect by banishing Branded Opening. Goes into the battle phase. Parlor swaps itself out. Chamber swaps itself out for the Sheo in his graveyard. He sets 2 back row, which are Branded High Spirits and Polymerization. Dragon Maid Sheo will attempt to use its effect to special summon a level 9 or lower Dragon Maid. He will counter using Phoenix Enforcer's effect, but the effect of Sheo will still go off. So Dragon Maid Chamber is resummoned. Chamber's effect will go off, adding Dragon Maid Hospitality to hand. Goes into the main phase, uses Dragon Maid Welcome's effect to return Changeover to hand once again. Activates Dragon Maid Hospitality to special summon the Kitchen from his graveyard. Kitchen's effect will go off, adding an Earnest Dragon Maid to hand, which will also be pitched. Goes into the battle phase, swaps out Chamber for Sheo in his graveyard. Nurse will be swapped out for Earnest. Kitchen will be swapped out for Tinkek. Sheo will slam into the Edge Imp Sabers. Edge Imp Chain. Edge Imp Chain's effect goes off to add a Fright for Fusion in hand. And Earnest will swing directly for game. That match went on way longer than I thought it was going to. I enjoy both these decks, but I am a bit more excited to have seen Dragon Maid get played because it's less popular. Especially a pure Dragon Maid. Next match. Alright, looks like we have a Duelist A opens up with Fusion Destiny, giving him Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. We're going to be seeing a lot of those these days. Activates Pot of Desires, banishing the top 10. Activates Sword Soul Emergence. So because I'm less familiar with Sword Soul cards, I'm going to have to pay more attention to this. Adds Sword Soul Strategist Long Wan to hand. Duelist B draws Max C, activates Puri Res Map. Duelist A counters with an Ash Blossom. Puri Res Map does nothing. Activates Infinite Impermanence to negate the effect of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Activates Numeron Wall to activate Numeron Network by pitching Numeron Wall. Sends Numeron Calling to the grave, which will allow him to summon all of the Numeron Gates. Activates Limiter Removal to double the attack points of all of his machine monsters, which all the Numeron Gates are. Duelist A attempts to activate Destroy Phoenix Enforcer's effect, forgetting it's negated, or at least just trying to do something. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer's effect will activate in the graveyard, which would give him a resurrection, assuming he doesn't die this turn, which it seems like he is going to. A limiter removal for a faster turn of Numeron Wall's beatdown. That was a much shorter game. Alright. Once again, we have a deck that is running... this looks like a... This guy might just be running the Destiny Hero deck from the Fusion Fest, judging by his extra deck and his opening hand. And neither players do anything on their opening turns. Or on their second turn. Both players are doing nothing. I guess they're just going in so they can get their 50 points for the event when they lose. But that's like, just play the game. I don't get it. Alright, looks like we have a Blue Eyes deck of some sort. Could be the Blue Eyes starter deck. Nope, judging from his extra deck, it is not. He will summon Protector with Eyes of Blue, which allows him to summon Maiden with Eyes of Blue. And pass his turn. Duelist B activates Terraforming. Adds BES Zone to hand. BEF Zelos. BEF Zelos activated, lets him add Boss Rush to his hand. Using Zelos' effect to summon BES Big Core Mark II. And I read that play wrong. BES Big Core Mark II can summon itself if you control no monsters. He will swing Big Core Mark II into Protector with Eyes of Blue. It destroys a monster, so it gets a counter. And at the end of the damage step, it got a counter removed. I'm actually going to wind that back to make sure I'm reading everything about this right. BEF Zelos. When this card is activated, you can add one Boss Rush from your deck to your hand. All BES monsters you control gain 500 attack defense. Your opponent cannot target them with card effects, and they can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can special summon one BES monster from your hand. If a BES monster is normal summoned or special summoned to the field, place one counter on it. Okay, so when BES Big Core Mark II was summoned, it gave itself 4 counters. 3 from itself, 1 from Zelos. So that tracks that more. So it exists for... by its own counter effect, 4 turns. He also possesses Boss Rush was activated, which I don't believe I said. During the end phase of a turn that a BES monster or Big Core is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one BES monster or Big Core from your deck. BES Big Core Mark II just has the effect of summoning itself, and with Zealous on the field, it has a 2900 attack point body, which is not bad. He has one back row that is unknown. Getting back to the turn at hand, player summons White Stone of Ancients, and will send it off to make Link Kuriboh. During the end phase, Duel Speed will activate final attack orders. All face-up monsters on the field change to attack position, and their battle position cannot be changed. So it looks like he's just going to go for damages. The effect of White Stone of Ancients will activate also to special summon Dragon Spirit of White. Dragon Spirit of White's effect is going to go off to banish Zealous from the field zone. Duel Speed activates a second Boss Rush, and he will swing Big Core Mark II into Dragon Spirit of White. He's taking 100 points of damage, and because Big Core cannot be destroyed by battle, nothing happens other than just uses a unit. Loses a unit. Dragon Spirit of White will swing into Big Core for another 100 damage and remove another counter from itself. He also set Lancer Dragonoot in defense mode. Duel B's turn activates Anti-Magic Arrows. Effect, at the start of the battle phase, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, neither player can activate spells or traps or their effects. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. During the battle phase, he's going to swing Big Core Mark II at Link Kuriboh. Link Kuriboh activates effect to attribute itself to reduce Big Core Mark II's attack points to 0. No battle actually happens, so it does not lose a unit. Dragon Spirit of White will swing into Big Core again, which will remove its last unit and do 1 more damage. Duel Speed draws for turn, goes into the battle phase, swings at the face down monster, which does change it to attack mode due to the final attack order's effect. Does not control any counters, so it is destroyed at the end of the turn, or after that battle phase. Boss Rush's effect activates both of them to summon a BES covered core and a BES crystal core. And their effects only give them counters when they are normal summoned, which means they do not have the protection. So if they battle without a counter, they're destroyed at the end of the damage step. During main phase 1, player will activate Rush Recklessly onto main with Eyes of Blue. Her effect will activate when a card effect is activated that targets this card. Special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, change the battle position of this card, then special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only use one Maiden with Eyes of Blue effect per turn, and only once that turn. So by targeting her with Rush Recklessly, he's able to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from his deck. Rush Recklessly will still give her the stat boost. She will then be tributed along with Dragon Spirit of White for World Legacy Guard Dragon. They will swing into Covered Core, and the Blue Eyes White Dragon will swing into Crystal Core. During the end phase, both boss rushes are going to go off to summon a BES Big Core and a BES Tetrin. Their attack points are reduced due to the effect of World Legacy Guard Dragon Mardark. All monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense for each dragon monster you control, so all his monsters lose 1000 attack and defense. It also has the additional effects. You can banish 2 normal monsters from your hand or graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add from your graveyard to your hand 1 level 9 monster with a different original type and attribute. But mostly it's just here for the stat reduction, and all monsters are forced into attack position due to Duel Speed's own final attack orders. Duelist A will draw for turn, activates Backup Rider, target one face-up monster field, it gains 1500 attack until the end of the turn. Duelist B activates Skill Drain, which will negate the effect of World Legacy Guard Dragon Mardark, will not step anything else, so Blue Eyes will swing over the BES Tetrin, and Mardark will swing over Big Core. The effect of Boss Rush will go off to summon BES Blaster Cannon, and BES Big Core Mark II again. Effects are negated due to Skill Drain, so they are just bodies on the board right now. Duelist B has 700 life points, Duelist A has 5,000. Duelist B is unable to put his monsters in defense mode due to his own final attack orders, which is kind of backfiring right now, but does activate Threatening Roar at the start of the opponent's turn to prevent him from attacking. After Duelist A has summoned Assault Wyvern, Duelist B will activate 7 completed, equipping it onto BES Blaster Cannon, and will swing over Blue Eyes with 3,200 attack points. Blaster Cannon will not be destroyed because Skill Drain prevents its own effects from resolving. And then BES Big Core Mark II will swing over the Assault Wyvern. It is Duelist A's turn. White Stone of Legend will banish itself from the graveyard to target a Blue Eyes White Dragon. He'll also chain a Silver's Cry to the activation of that effect, targeting a Spirit of White. Dragon Spirit of White will be summoned due to Silver's Cry. Blue Eyes White Dragon will be returned to hand due to Ancient Stone of Legend, which he will reveal to special summon his Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Dragon Spirit of White will be tributed to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which would activate the effect of Blue Eyes Alternate, but its effect is negated due to skill drain. Still, Blue Eyes will swing into the Big Core Mark II, which will do 100 damage, or 600 battle damage, putting dual speed down to 100. He will summon, as a result of destruction, a BS Covered Core and a BS Crystal Core, which are still forced into attack mode by his own final attack orders, which will ultimately backfire on him. He acknowledges he does not have a way around his own trap card and swings at his Covered Core into Blue Eyes, making himself lose to battle damage. Blue Eyes player wins. That was a much more interesting match. Weird way to go about using the BES stuff with skill drain. Alright, what do we got here? We have an opening with 2 Incredible Ecclesia, an Ash Blossom, a Max C, and a Branded in red. Dual Speed will activate Card of Demise. He will chain an Ash Blossom to negate the drawing effect after setting 4 back row. So Dual Speed will not get more cards to hand right away. He will pass turn. It is now Duelist A's turn. Duelist A draws Super Polymerization. He will summon Incredible Ecclesia. Duelist B will counter with a Solemn Judgment. Duelist A will end his turn, score 8,000 to 4,000. Duelist B has 3 back row. Duelist B will activate a second Card of Demise, which will resolve, getting him 3 cards to hand. He will discard Gravekeeper's Command to add a Necro Valley, so he's playing a Floodgate deck versus some sort of fusion deck. He'll activate Necro Valley, summon Gravekeeper Spiritualist, and swing, doing no damage. Duelist A will activate Allure of Darkness. Duelist B will activate Necro Valley Temple. Necro Valley Temple is a continuous trap card. While Gravekeeper's monsters and Necro Valley are both on the field, which those conditions are met, monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. Once per turn during your main phase, if you control no card in your field zone, you can activate 1 Necro Valley directly from your hand or graveyard. If this card in your position is destroyed by an opponent's effect and sent to the graveyard, you can set 1 Necro Valley spell or trap directly from your deck except Necro Valley Temple. Alright, so right now it really only applies for a stat changer, because he does have Necro Valley already on the field. Duelist A activated Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness adds 2 to hand, which are going to be 2 Dramaturges. 1 was banished. He will summon Incredible Ecclesia again and attempt to activate her effect. Duelist B will activate Summon Limit, so he has already completed 1 of his limited summons for the turn. Incredible Ecclesia will bring out Fallen Albaz, which will not do anything further. He sets up Super Polymerization and passes turn. Duelist B summons Gravekeeper's Priest, but he counters using Super Polymerization to fuse both of them off into his own Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Duelist B has 2 unknown back row. Duelist A draws his 3rd, Dramaturge of Despia. He attempts to attack directly and activates Storming Mirror first, so Fallen of Albaz and Starving Venom Fusion Dragon are sent back to the hand and extra deck respectively. Duelist B draws for turn, activates Necro Valley Throne to add a Gravekeeper's monster, being another Gravekeeper Spiritualist, to his hand. Summons Spiritualist and swings for 2,000. Passes turn. Duelist A draws Alibur. Summons Alibur, gets a Despia Theater of the Branded added to hand, activates Despia Theater of the Branded, and uses its effect as a fusion gate, fusing off the 2 Dramaturges in his hand and Alibur into the first Dark Lord. Goes into the battle phase. Duelist B activates a 2nd Storming Mirror Force, sending the first Dark Lord back to the extra deck. Duelist A sets Branded in red and passes turn. Duelist B enters the battle phase, swings directly for another 2,000. During main phase 2, or at least afterwards, he activates Branded in red, whose effect is negated because it targets a card in the graveyard, and Necro Valley will prevent that. Duelist A draws Max C for turn, summons Fallen of Albaz, uses its effect as a living Super Polymerization to once again make Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. He will swing directly for 28. Score is 1,200 to 4,000. Duelist B's turn. Did I say 12,000? 1,200. Duelist B sets one more back row, passes turn. It's Duelist A's turn. He could attack for game right now. Goes right into the battle phase. Attempts to swing direct. A third Storming Mirror Force sending Venom back into the extra deck. Duelist A only has an Ash Blossom in hand. Duelist B did not get a draw that could do anything. They pass turn. It is back to Duelist A's turn. They draw Fallen of Albaz again. They will summon Fallen of Albaz and swing directly for game. The Floodgate player was doing their best, but unfortunately they were not getting all the draws they needed. But 3 Storming Mirror Forces really did keep them in there. Oh, we have a no fun allowed True Draco player going up against a Thunder Dragon player. Duelist A will summon Aloof Lupine. Aloof Lupine. When this card is normal summoned, you can banish one monster from your hand. Banish one monster from your deck with the same type as that monster. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can target one of your banished monsters, add it to your hand. He will use Aloof Lupine to banish the Thunder Dragon Dark from his hand and Thunder Dragon Roar from his deck. Thunder Dragon Roar's effect will activate. If this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, special summon one Thunder Dragon monster from your deck in defense position. Return to the hand during the end phase. Thunder Dragon Dark's effect will also activate. If this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, add one Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand. So he'll get one to hand and one to field out of this. He adds a Thunder Dragon Hawk to hand. And he will special summon a Thunder Dragon Matrix. He will use Thunder Dragon Hawk's effect, discarding itself, to special summon Thunder Dragon Dark from the Banish Zone. And he will turn Thunder Dragon Matrix into Thunder Dragon Colossus. Thunder Dragon Dark and Aloof Lupine will be linked off together to make Predator Plant Vert Anaconda. He will activate Thunder Dragon Fusion from his hand, fusing his banished Thunder Dragon Roar, Thunder Dragon Hawk, and Thunder Dragon Dark from his graveyard to make Thunder Dragon Titan. He's going to use Predator Plant Vert Anaconda's effect to send Fusion Destiny to make a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. And he will pass turn. Score is 6,000 to 8,000. Duelist B draws for turn. He sets one back row and immediately tributes it for Dynamite, the True Draco fight. Attempts to activate the effect of his sent away True King's Return, which effect is... This card sent from the spell trap zone to the graveyard, target one monster on the field, destroy it. And he attempts to use that effect, targeting Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Phoenix Enforcer will chain its effect, presumably targeting the Dynamite. He attempts to activate Dynamite's effect, which is when your opponent activates card effect while you control this tribute summoned, you can take one True Draco or True Crane continuous trap from your deck and activate or add it to your hand. By attempting to add to the hand, Duelist A is able to use Ash Blossom to negate that, which will stop Dynamite or Dino Fighter's effect from going off. Resolution happens. Dino Fighter is negated. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer destroys itself and Dino Fighter. True King's Return does not resolve because it does not have a target. He activates Dragonic Diagram from his hand, field spell. Duelist A counters by pitching Thunder Dragon Matrix, and also chaining that to Thunder Dragon Titan's effect to destroy Dragonic Diagram he just activated. Player will activate Anakamufrate in the Pendulum Zone, activates effect to destroy and then summon itself, and then send itself away to the graveyard. No, he special summoned it from the extra deck, and then attacked it into Predator Plant Vert Anaconda. Why did it leave the field? And now the match appears to be paused. Paused not by me. There are merely nothing resolving. It's paused. Now it's playing. And I don't know why nothing's happened. I'm going to end the replay because watching a screen where nothing happens is boring. And I'll just move on to the next spectate. I'm willing to bet that the Thunder Dragon player was going to win that game because it looked like the True Draco was out of moves. Also because I want the Thunder Dragon player to win that matchup. Alright, looks like we have a Gemini player. They're going to activate Foolish Burial Goods, sending off a Gemini Fusion, and they will set Gemini Turtle in defense mode and pass turn. Duelist A draws, sets one and sets one back row, passes turn. Duelist B draws Crystal Rose, flips up his Gem Turtle to add Gemini Fusion from deck to hand. Summons Rescue Rabbit, tributes Rescue Rabbit, banishes it to summon 2 Gemini Garnets, activates Gemini Fusion, fusing a Garnet with the Obsidian from his hand, makes Gemini Ruby. Obsidian's effect will activate in the grave to special summon Garnet. Gemini Fusion's effect will banish Obsidian to add itself back to hand. Activates Gemini Fusion once again, fusing Garnet with Turtle. Make Gemini Zirconia. Gemini Ruby's effect will activate, tributing Zirconia to increase his attack points. He will banish Garnet from his graveyard to add Gemini Fusion back to hand. He will attempt to swing at his opponent's face-down monster. Opponent activates Magical Cylinder, dealing 5,400 damage to Duelist B. He then swing with Garnet into the Nail Shadal Aerial, which will destroy it. Duelist A activates Prohibition, declaring Gemnite Fusion. And then we'll activate Shadal Fusion to make Shadal Construct. Nail Shadal Aerial's effect will activate. Its effect, if this card sent to graveyard card effect, target 3 cards in the graveyards, banish them, targeting Gemnite Fusion, Gemnite Turtle, and Gemnite Zirconia. He will chain that with Shadal's effect. Shadal will send away Squamata. Squamata's effect will activate to send Reshadal Wendy to the graveyard. Reshadal Wendy's effect will activate to set a Shadal Beast face down. He will then activate Magicalized Fusion, fusing off his Squamata and S Aerial into El Shadal Winda. Duelist A sets another back row. Shadal Construct swings into Ruby, which will automatically destroy a special summon monster, and then Window will swing into Garnet, doing 300 damage. Score is 8,000 to 23. Duelist B will summon Crystal Rose, sending away a Lazuli. Lazuli will return a Garnet from his graveyard to his hand, goes into battle phase, swings into Shadal Construct, and ends the game on his own terms. He ran Prohibition. What year is it? Looks like we have an Eldritch Altergeist player. Sets 4 back row and passes turn. Typical Eldritch Open. Dual speed draws for turn. Activates E-Emergency Call. Adds a Solid Soldier to hand. Summons Solid Soldier. Duelist A activates Skill Drain. No fun allowed this game. Solid Soldier's effect will not resolve. Activates the effect of Ferris in hand to pitch a Shadow Mist to summon Ferris. Shadow Mist effect will activate to add a Dusted Gold to hand. A Dusted Gold will pitch itself to add a Dark Calling to hand. Goes into battle phase, swings with Ferris and Solid Soldier for 28. Passes turn. He sets 2 back row, but during the end phase, Duelist A will activate his Twin Twisters, pitching his Eldritch Golden Lord to destroy those 2 back row, which were a Mask Change and a Crossout Designator. Duelist A draws Altergeist Kinquery, activates Eldritch's effect, sending away one of his Altergeist protocols to add Eldritch back to hand. Eldritch has been summoned with an increased stats. He will swing into Solid Soldier for 2,200 damage. Passes turn. Duelist B's turn. Score 5,800 to 4,100. Duelist B activates Raigeki. Raigeki does not resolve. because Eldritch, when summoned by its own special effect, cannot be destroyed by card effects. At least not while it has the stat boost. Duelist A draws for turn, draws DD Crow. He will swing Eldritch into Ferris. Pass turn. Score 41, 49. Hero player draws for turn. Activates a hero lives. Pays half his life points. Special summons Stratos. Attempts to activate Dark Calling. Opponent will chain DD Crow to banish evil hero Adusted Gold. Dark Calling will fizzle. Passes turn. Duelist A draws for turn, draws Crackdown, swings Eldritch into Stratos. Score is 41 to 1750. Eldritch player sets third back row, which is his Crackdown. Duelist B draws for turn, passes turn, does nothing. Duelist A draws for turn, draws Pot of Extravagance. He is just showing off now. Absolutely excessive. Duelist B counters by activating Ash Blossom. That is what you get. Pot of Extravagance will not allow him to draw any cards. He will instead just swing for game the way he should have, and the match will end. Eldritch player wins. Alright, looks like we have the Destiny Hero deck from the Fusion Fest. He will activate Destiny Draw, pitching Destiny Hero Denier to draw Dynatag and Vion. He'll activate D-Force, targeting Destiny Hero Plasma. He will summon Vision Hero Vion, sending Celestial to the grave. Denier's effect will activate to special summon itself in defense mode. Then stack his deck. Celestial will banish himself to add a polymerization by Vion's effect. Vion banishes Celestial from the graveyard to add polymerization to hand. Passes turn. Duelist B will have their turn pass without doing anything. Duelist A will change Denier to attack mode. He will activate a Ferris' effect to pitch a Ferris. Activates polymerization to fuse Denier in his hand with the Vion on his field to summon Vision Hero Adoration. Goes into battle phase, swings with Denier, Ferris, and Adoration. I don't think Duelist B is going to do much of anything. Vision Hero Increase will special summon himself from the spell and trap zone by sending Denier to the graveyard. Score is 25 to 8. Or 2,500 to 8,000. Duelist B does nothing and passes turn. Duelist A goes straight into battle phase, swings with Vion, for game. I apologize for you having to hear the sounds of me typing just there. Alright, what do we got this time? We have another hero deck versus an unknown. Versus some sort of branded deck. Yep. Activates the effect of Albion, which sends away a branded opening. Albion goes to the deck, he draws a card. He will number summon Aliber. Aliber will add branded opening to hand. He will set 2 back row and pass turn. Hero player's turn. They draw Miracle Fusion for the turn. They summon Stratos. They add Vision Hero Ferris to their hand. They use Ferris' effect, pitching the second Stratos in their hand to summon Ferris. Ferris will then set an increase to the spell and trap zone. Increase will tribute Ferris to summon itself. Duelist B will activate an Ash Blossom to negate Increase's effect of drawing card. Negating its effect to special summon a hero. Hero player will activate Polymerization, fusing Stratos and Increase into Elemental Hero Sunrise. Goes into battle phase, swings at Aliber. Albaz player will activate Super Polymerization to fuse Sunrise with Aliber into Masquerade, pitching a Dasher from his hand to activate its effect. Duelist A activates a hero lives in main phase 2. Summons Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist attempts to resolve its effect, get a mask change. He has activated 3 effects now for Masquerade. He'll activate Mask Change, sending off Shadow Mist to summon Dark Law, just for a bigger body, I guess, because Masquerade can just swing over it. Duel Speed's turn, he activates Branded Opening, returning Aliber to the field. Aliber's effect will activate to add a Branded Red to hand. Masquerade will activate its effect in response to Dark Law's effect of Banishing. Duel Speed will activate Branded in Red, which will return an Aliber from his graveyard to his hand. And then he will fuse both Alibers into Despian Quertus. Dark Law will make him banish the card in his hand that he drew. Quertus will use its effect to reduce Dark Law's attack to 0. He will then swing into it with Quertus. He will activate Honest Neos to make their attack points equal. However, they then both crash and his field is empty, and he will swing directly with Masquerade for game. Despian cards are really good. Really strong. Alright, looks like we have a Fluffle player. Opponent sets 2 cards in the back row and 1 monster face down, passes turn. Duels A draws for turn, draws Edgem Chain, activates Toy Vendor. Pitching Edgem Chain to get a Fluffle Owl to hand. And special summon a Fluffle Penguin. Chain will add Frightfur Patchwork to hand. Fluffle Penguin's effect will then special summon Fluffle Owl, which will add a Polymerization to hand. He'll activate Frightfur Patchwork to add another Polymerization to hand, and an Edgem Scythe. He will activate Polymerization now, fusing the Edgem Scythe with the Fluffle Wings in his hand to make Frightfur Kraken. Frightfur Kraken's effect will activate, sending away the opponent's face-down defense position monster. He will then activate Polymerization again to fuse Kraken with the bear and the owl from his field to make Frightfur Sabertooth. Frightfur Sabertooth, when it's fused summoned, target 1 Frightfur monster in its graveyard and special summon it, so that just brings back his Frightfur Kraken. All Frightfur monsters gain 400 attack, and if this card fused summons using 3 or more materials, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So it's a pretty strong body. Fluffle Wings will banish itself to target Fluffle Bear. Fluffle Bear will banish itself. Fluffle Penguin lets him draw, so he draws Fluffle Penguin and a Fluffle Cat. Duels will attack, and he will activate Mirror Force in response, which will only destroy the Fluffle Cat, or the Fluffle Penguin. He will then attack directly twice with Kraken, and once with Saber for game. That was resounding. Alright. So look, we have a Chaos player, activates Chaos Space, pitching Necro Gardener to add Chaos Valkyrie to hand. They'll activate Solar Recharge, pitching Lightsworn Sorceress to add Wolf, to draw a Wolf and another Solar Recharge. Activate Solar Recharge, pitching Wolf, draws a second Wolf and Lightsworn Judgment. Sets Lightsworn Judgment, summons Luminous Lightsworn. Uses their effect to discard Wolf to summon Wolf. I lost track of the plot there. Activate the effect of Chaos Valkyria by banishing a light monster from the graveyard. Lit or dark, he's going to banish his Chaos Dragon Leviner, which will summon Valkyria. Valkyrian Wolf will be exiled into Minerva, the Exalted Lightsworn. Minerva's effect will activate, removing Wolf, and then draw a card, or draw a card, or is it add a Lightsworn to hand? Detach one material from this card, send the top 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard, then draw cards equal to the number of Lightsworn cards sent to the graveyard. So, let's wind it back. He activated Minerva's effect. Minerva sent away Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, Starliege Seyfert, and Garroth the Lightsworn, who then he was able to draw 1 Lightsworn, which was Minerva the Lightsworn Maiden. Passes turn to his opponent. Duel B activates Shard of Greed, sets 1 back row and 1 monster in defense mode. Passes turn. Start of the turn, Lightsworn player activates Lightsworn Judgment. Place this card on top of the deck. If this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard by a Lightsworn monster's effect, you can add 1 Judgment Dragon from your deck to your hand. Main phase is going to use Minerva's effect, which will activate 2 effects, one from the Lightsworn Archer and one from the Lightsworn Judgment. Judgment will add a Judgment Dragon to his hand. Lightsworn Archer will summon itself, so it has a similar effect to Wolf. Lightsworn Archer also has the effect, you contribute this card, target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. Then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which they do to destroy their opponent's set monster, which was an Honest. They'll then special summon a Judgment Dragon by its own effect. Judgment Dragon will use its effect to pay 1,000 to wipe everything else on the board. He also then special summon the second Judgment Dragon from his hand. Activate the effect of Starliege Seifert in his graveyard to add his third Judgment Dragon back to his hand, which will special summon itself by its own conditions. So with all 3 Judgment Dragons on board, he's going to swing directly for 9,000 damage and end the game. Not too bad, if I say so myself. And as an uninvolved party, I can absolutely say so myself. Alright, looks like we have a Cyber player. Duelist B is going to activate Pot of Desires, banishing 10, drawing 2, sets 1 defense mode, passes turn. Duelist A's turn. They're going to special summon Cyber Dragon. Duelist B activates Max C. They will normal summon a Cyber Dragon core to add Cyber Emergency to hand. They will activate Cyber Emergency, drawing Cyber Dragon Viper. They activate Sorceress Spell Wall. All monsters you control gain 300 attack during your turn. All monsters you control gain 300 defense during your opponent's turn. He will set Mirror Force. He will swing Cyber Dragon into the face down Max C, and then Cyber Dragon core will attack directly for 700. Opponent will not get any benefits out of the Max C they played. Duelist B will activate Infinite Impermanence, targeting Cyber Dragon, which also makes it so that they cannot activate the Mirror Force that is in the same row as it, I believe? No, it does not. They may have misread that one, because there was no point to negating Cyber Dragon's effect. I don't think. Duelist B summons Mathmech Addition. You can target one face-up monster on the field. You can't special summon monster from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Cyber's monsters. Also, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, the targeted monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. Alright, so Mathmech Addition has boosted Cyber Dragon to a 3,100 body. Mathmech Addition will then be linked off to make Link Disciple. Parallel Exceed will activate in hand, summon itself to the zone Link Disciple points to, and summon another Parallel Exceed from the deck. Parallel Exceed and Link Disciple will link themselves off into Splash Mage. Splash Mage will activate its effect to bring back a Parallel Exceed. Splash Mage and the special summon Parallel Exceed from before will be linked off into Transcode Talker. Transcode Talker will bring back Splash Mage. Splash Mage and Transcode Talker will both be linked off then into Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker will gain 3,000 attack points to Transcode Talker. He will banish Link Disciple to destroy the set Mirror Force. Player B will then summon Mathmech Diameter. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 4 Cyberse monster in the graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects. A Mathmech monster that was Synchro or Xyz summoned using this card that fails material gains the effect. Once per turn, during the turn this card was special summoned, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can negate the effect. And he will use them to make Pre-Mathmech Alimbertian. He will remove 2 units from Alimbertian to add a Mathmech to his hand using his own effect. And then he will tribute Access Code Talker to summon Mathmech Nabla? That's unexpected. You can tribute one Cyberse monster, special summon one Mathmech monster from your deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Cyberse monster you control in the extra monster zone. You can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. You can only use each effect of Mathmech Nabla once per turn. You can tribute Parallel Exceed to special summon Mathmech Multiplication. Multiplication will increase the level of Nabla, and together they will make Mathmech Final Sigma in the extra monster zone. Nabla's effect will activate, so will multiplications. Multiplication doubling the attack of Sigma. Nabla letting Sigma make 2 attacks on monsters per turn. 2 extra attacks. Sigma's own effect of doubling battle damage it deals once in the extra monster zone will go off, and he will just swing for game. Big numbers. Alright, we have a Time Lord player now. They'll summon Time Maiden, send her away, getting Lazion the Time Lord to hand, and they will pass turn. Duel Speed will summon Witch of the Black Rose, adding a Dark Reverger to hand, activating Vengeful Servant, equipping it to Witch of the Black Rose, setting 1 more back row, and passing turn. Duel's A special summons Sandayon the Time Lord, swinging it into Witch of the Black Rose. After attacking, its effect activates, which deals 2,000 damage to Duelist B. They pass turn. Duelist B summons Dark Verger, bounces it back to hand, summon Fallen Angel of Roses, passes turn. Both players have 2 back row. Sandayon will send itself back into the deck. Time Main's effect activates, banishing herself to summon Gabryon the Time Lord. Duelist B activates Wall of Thorns. Wall of Thorns will not have its effect resolved, presumably because Time Lords are immune to their effects. Let's just double check that. Yep. Gabryon the Time Lord cannot be destroyed by card effects, so Wall of Thorns does nothing. But at the end of the battle phase, shuffle as many cards your opponent controls as possible into the deck, so everything he had on field is now gone. Turn passes to Duelist B. Duelist B draws for turn. Summons Blue Rose Dragon, sets 1 back row, passes turn. Draws Marshmallow for turn. Gabryon goes back into the deck. He will summon Lazion the Time Lord and pass turn. Lazion will deal 1,000 damage to Duelist B at the start of their turn. Duelist B summons Rock's Rose Dragon, which draws Red Rose Dragon to the hand. They will then sync off Blue Rose and Rock Rose into Black Rose. Black Rose's effect will activate to destroy all other cards, however Lazion is not destroyed. Sorry, not all cards. Lazion will then send itself back into the deck. It is Duelist A's turn. They will set Marshmallow in defense mode and pass turn. Duelist B's turn. They summon the Red Rose Dragon and swing into Marshmallow. Marshmallow's effect will go off from the battle. Deal 1,000 to the player who flipped it. Or the attacking player. Duelist A draws Burden of the Mighty and will activate it. Passes turn. Duelist B will summon Dark Verger. He will sync off Dark Verger and Red Rose Dragon into Garden Rose Maiden. Garden Rose Maiden's effect will activate, as will Red Rose Dragon's. Duelist A will activate Ash Blossom to negate the effect of Red Rose. Garden Rose Maiden's effect will go off to add a Black Guard to hand. Black Garden will be activated, and they will set 1 back row and pass turn. Duelist A draws, passes turn. Rose Princess effect will be activated, discarding itself to add a White Rose Cloister to hand. White Rose Cloister will be activated. Queen Angel of Roses will be attributed by attributing Garden Maiden. Black Rose Dragon is brought back from the graveyard. Both of them are linked off into Cross Rose Dragon. Duelist B sets 1 more back row, passes turn. White Rose Cloisters effect will activate, so let me clock that one real quick. Once per turn during your draw phase, before you draw, declare one card type. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it is the declared type, apply this effect for the rest of the turn. Level 7 or higher monster you control, gain 1000 attack. Level 7 or higher synchro monster you control, gain 1000 attack. He called wrong, that does not resolve. He did get Monster Reborn though, which will activate to bring out Black Rose Dragon again. Opponent will counter with a Bottomless Trap Hole. The effect of Rox Rose will activate in the grave, adding itself back to hand. You'll summon the Rox Rose and pass turn, because Marshmallow is just stopping the game. Duelist A does nothing. White Rose Cloisters effect goes off properly this time. Player summons, oh my, Evil Thorn, and he is going to turn them both into Ruddy Rose Dragon. This card is Synchro Summon. You can banish all of the cards from your graveyard. Then, if there's a Synchro Summon using Black Rose or a Plant Synchro Monster as material, you can destroy all the cards on the field. When your opponent activates a card effect to destroy cards, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and special one Black Rose Dragon from your extra deck or graveyard. He's going to banish all cards from his graveyard. And his opponent's graveyard. And nothing will go off from the field because it was not summoned using Black Rose or a Plant Synchro. Duelist A passes turn. Duelist B makes a Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Duelist A sets a second Marshmallow and passes turn. This match got real boring. Duelist A swings into the new Marshmallow, takes 1000, scores 8000 to 3000. Sets a third back row, passes turn. Duelist A draws for turn, tributes both Marshmallows for Sophion the Time Lord. Duelist B will activate Ivy Shackles. All face-up monster your opponent controls become plant type during your turn only. If this face-up card you control is destroyed and sent to the graveyard by a current effect, draw one card. Sophion will attack into Moonlight Dragon. Its effect will go off to send all spells and traps the opponent controls back into the deck. Not thinking, Duelist B will set one back row, swing into Sophion again, sending that back row back into the deck. Duelist A's turn starts, Sophion goes back into the deck. Sophion will attack, will be summoned, swing into Ruddy Rose. Any damage he would have taken is dealt to the opponent's dead, scores 8000 to 800. He sets an MST, passes turn. Duelist B passes turn. Raphion goes back into the deck. Lezion comes out, passes turn. During the standby phase, Lezion deals 1000. Match finally ends. That was a 28 turn game. I'm tired now after watching that. Alright, let's go. Let's try to get one exciting match out. Because that was a whole lot of nothing. Now, looks like we have a Tenyi deck going up against a Dark Lord Nurse Burn deck. Activates Upstart Goblin, activates 2 Upstart Goblins, so he can draw 2 cards and deal 2000 to his opponent. Activates Pot of Desires, banishes top 10. Opponent will activate Ash Blossom in response. Sets 2 back row, passes turn. Activates Bad Reaction to Samochi and the Paths of Destiny. Flips and gets a heads. Other duelist gets a tails. Both players take 2000 due to Bad Reaction to Samochi. Tenyi Spirit of Shuna will special summon itself and be linked off into Monk of the Tenyi. Then we'll activate Vessel for the Dragon, sending Tenyi Spirit Vishuda to the graveyard to add Adhara to grave or to hand. Ajuna will send Samochi back to the hand to banish after banishing itself. Adhara will special summon itself by controlling no effect monsters. Vishuda will be special summoned back. Both will be synced off, a level 1 and a 7 for Bajaya, Brightness of the Tenyi. Brightness of the Yunjing. I need to stop and clock what's happening. Tenyi Spirit of Heart's effect will activate to banish itself, targeting Tenyi Spirit Ajuna. Ajuna will then be returned to the hand along with... No, that's it. Ajuna just goes back to the hand. Sword Soul of Moye will then be normal summoned, activating its effect to special summon a sword... reveal on Sword Soul Worm monster in your hands, plus a Sword Soul token, revealing the Ajuna to get a Sword Soul token. Sword Soul of Moye and that token will then be synced off to make Sword Soul Grandmaster Chishao's effect will activate and chain into Moye. Moye will let him draw a card, and he will get Sword Soul Strategist Long Yuan from Chishe and send one away, which will be the Adhara. Long Yuan will be summoned and summon a token. They will then be linked up into Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying. Long Yuan's effect will activate in the graveyard to burn for 1200. He will then swing directly with all of his monsters for game. I really gotta brush up on my Sword Soul knowledge because that was kind of cool. And it was a much shorter match than the last one, so to prevent me from going through the fatigue of commentating a 28-turn game, I'm going to end it there. If you caught the stream, thanks for watching. If you're catching the replay, thanks for watching that too. Goodbye.